He didn't go quiet. That's the first thing you need to understand about what happened after Offset walked out of that hospital. Most people, after being shot, after a night in a trauma ward, after their name explodes across every headline in America, most people go dark. They lawyer up. They release a one-sentence statement through a publicist. They disappear for a few weeks and let the noise die down. Offset didn't do that. And that choice, that specific, deliberate choice to not go quiet, tells you more about where this man's head is at right now than any police report, any court filing, or any rumor page ever could. Because the moves you make right after the worst night of your year are the moves that are most honest. You don't have time to perform. You don't have time to manage the narrative perfectly. You react. You act from instinct. And those instincts reveal everything. So in this video, we are not going to rehash what happened outside the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. We already covered that in full detail. What we are going to do today is go deeper. We are going to look at exactly what Offset did after he left that hospital. We are going to slow down each move, one by one. We are going to ask what each move means, not just for his image, not just for the legal case, but for what it tells us about who this man actually is right now, in this moment. Because there are three moves that stand out above everything else. Three moves that, when you look at them together, paint a picture so clear it almost doesn't need commentary. Stay with me for every single second of this video. Because the move that reveals the most about Offset's state of mind right now, it's not the one you'd expect. And it comes later. Let's go. Before we get to what happened after the hospital, we need to spend a moment, just a moment, making sure we're all starting from the same place. Because there has been so much noise around this story, so much rumor mixed in with what was actually reported, that it's easy to lose track of the confirmed timeline. Here is what we know. On April 6, 2026, Offset, Kiari Kendrell Cephas, was inside the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. According to reports, he had been at the tables for hours. The numbers being cited by insiders were staggering. Losses reportedly approaching $900,000 that night alone. He was deep in it. Then came the confrontation. Lil Tjay and his circle were also at the property. There was history between these two, reported friction going back to a $10,000 gambling debt and a very public live stream where Lil Tjay called Offset out in front of his whole audience. That wound never healed. And when those two worlds collided in the valet area of the Hard Rock that night, it turned physical fast. A fight broke out. A gun appeared. One shot was fired. Offset was struck in the leg. The same leg that had already absorbed 7 bullets in a prior incident earlier in his life. He was rushed to Memorial Regional Hospital. His injuries were reported as non-life-threatening. Lil Tjay was detained and later booked on a disorderly conduct charge. According to court records cited by multiple outlets, surveillance footage reportedly showed Merritt using a phone to record members of his group fighting Offset. An alleged associate of his reportedly fired the shot. The investigation into additional suspects was described as ongoing. That's the confirmed core of the story. But here's what no one is talking about enough. What happened next? Because from the moment Offset left that hospital, he started making moves. And none of those moves were what you'd expect from a man trying to disappear into recovery. The first move came almost immediately. While most people in Offset's position would have released a careful, PR-approved statement focusing on gratitude for surviving, prayers for healing, and a request for privacy, Offset went a completely different direction. His first public words after being shot outside a casino? "Life's a gamble, bro. Ain't gonna stop going to the casino." Read that sentence again. Not, "I'm grateful to be alive." Not, "I want to thank the doctors." Not, "I'm focused on healing." Not even the standard, "I have no comment at this time." Life's a gamble. And he's not stopping. Now, the internet immediately split into two camps when those words hit. Camp 1 said it was unbothered bravado. Offset being Offset. The kind of defiant energy that built his whole image. Nothing bends me, nothing breaks me. I am going to keep living exactly the way I live. Camp 2 said it was the clearest possible proof that the addiction is still completely in control. That even after being shot outside the very place his addiction led him to, even after a night in a hospital bed, even after his name became the center of one of the biggest crime stories in hip-hop that year, the pull of the casino was still louder than the warning. Both camps have a point, but both camps are also missing the deeper thing. Because that sentence, "Life's a gamble, bro," is not just a statement about casinos. It is a statement about identity. It is Offset telling the world, this is who I am. This is how I see myself. And I am not going to let one terrible night rewrite that. That is an extraordinary thing to communicate in the immediate aftermath of a shooting. Not, I need to change. Not, this was a wake-up call. But, I am the same person I was before I walked into that hospital, and I plan to stay that person. That tells you something very important about the psychological place Offset was in when he made that statement. It also tells you something important about what was coming next. Because when someone signals that loudly that they are not going to change course, that the lesson has not landed, the people around them, the courts around them, and the culture around them all start responding to that signal. And that is exactly what happened. The second move is quieter, more complicated, and in some ways more revealing than the casino statement. Because while Offset was making that public statement about not changing, there was a very different conversation happening in the legal world. Remember, this was not a simple situation with one clear case to deal with. Offset was coming out of that hospital already facing multiple legal and financial storms at once. The casino lawsuit from Motor City Casino Hotel in Detroit was already in the public record. $100,000 in unpaid markers. Officially filed. Officially a problem. The investigation into the Hard Rock shooting was still active. Authorities had confirmed they were looking for additional suspects. That means Offset's cooperation, or lack of it, with investigators was a real question being asked in real time. And then there was the broader financial reality that the shooting had dragged into the open. Insiders were talking. Old debts with other names were surfacing. The picture was getting bigger and messier by the hour. Now here is the critical question. What did Offset do about all of that? And the honest answer is, publicly very little. There was no statement from his team about the Detroit casino lawsuit. No announcement of a settlement in progress. No public acknowledgement of what cooperation with the shooting investigation would look like. What we saw instead was a posture of, I will handle what I handle privately on my own terms in my own time. And that posture is a choice. A very specific choice. Because there are two ways a celebrity in a situation like this can move. The first way is to get in front of the story. Acknowledge the situation directly. Show accountability early. Control the narrative by being the one to name the problems before the headlines name them for you. The second way is to not engage publicly at all. Let your lawyers handle the legal. Let time handle the noise. Trust that the story will eventually find a new headline and move on. Offset chose door 2. And the thing about door 2 is that it only works if the story actually moves on. If the story keeps growing, if new details keep dropping, if the legal situation escalates, if other names keep surfacing, then silence stops looking like strategy. It starts looking like avoidance. And as of the reporting we have, the story has not moved on. It has gotten bigger, which means the second move, the quiet one, the legal one, the decision to not publicly address the lawsuits and the investigation, is actually creating more tension, not less. Because every day that passes without a clear statement from Offset's team about where things stand legally is another day that the internet gets to fill in those blanks. And the internet always fills in blanks with the most dramatic possible version. That is the danger of the quiet move. Silence is never actually neutral in celebrity culture. Silence has a sound. And right now, that sound is very loud. The third move is the one that really made the internet erupt. And this is the one that, when you understand it fully, reveals the most important truth about where Offset is emotionally right now. After bonding out, Lil Tjay went to cameras. He denied involvement in the shooting. He denied being in a fight. And then he did something that guaranteed a response. He called Offset a rat. Now, in hip-hop culture, there are few words that carry more weight than that one. Being called a rat is not just an insult. It is an accusation of betrayal. It is a declaration of war on someone's credibility. It is a statement designed to follow a person everywhere they go in that world. Lil Tjay knew exactly what he was doing when he said it. And Offset knew exactly what it meant when he heard it. So what did Offset do? He responded. Not through a publicist. Not through a carefully worded legal statement. Not with silence. He fired back directly, online, in public, with one short sentence. You ain't bust none. 4 words. And those 4 words set off another explosion. Because think about what that response means in context. Offset is recovering from a gunshot wound. He has an active investigation surrounding the incident. He has a casino lawsuit in the public record. He has the whole world watching every move he makes. His legal team is almost certainly telling him to say nothing, do nothing, let the courts handle it. And he goes online and takes a shot at Lil Tjay anyway. Why? Because this was never just a legal case to Offset. This was personal. This was about pride. This was about a man who called him broke in front of millions of people, and whom Offset allegedly warned would get it back in blood. Now walking out of jail, acting like he was the victim. That was too much for Offset to absorb quietly. And that response, that four-word, emotional, very human response, tells you something that no police report can tell you. It tells you that Offset is not operating from a place of calm strategy right now. He is operating from a place of raw feeling, anger, humiliation, and a very deep need to not let the public narrative turn against him without a fight. That is completely understandable. It is also potentially very costly, because every time Offset engages publicly with Lil Tjay, he keeps the story alive. He gives it new oxygen. He gives headlines new material. And in a legal situation where investigations are still active and lawsuits are still moving through courts, keeping the story alive is almost never in your interest. The third move, then, is the most revealing of all. Not because it was wrong, not because it was right, but because it was real. It was unfiltered. It was the act of a man who is not willing to be silent when his name and his reputation are being dragged in public. And that tells you exactly what kind of person Offset is right now. Not careful, not strategic, not in retreat, still fighting. Every person in Offset's life, looking at what is happening right now, should be asking one question above all others. Not, is he going to pay the casino lawsuit? Not, is he going to stay out of trouble? The real question is he okay? Because when a man has been through what Offset has been through, the grief, the loss, the public collapse of almost everything that defined his personal life. Do you think Offset's moves after the hospital showed strength? Or did they show that the addiction is still calling the shots? I read every single one. And if you've been watching this series from the beginning, you already know, every video connects. Every detail matters. Every update changes the picture. The next one is already coming. And trust me, you are not going to want to miss it. I'll see you there. Because with a story like this, there is always another chapter. Until then, stay locked in.